more and more is shown exhibits of why nobody trusts the media and nobody trusts government. And nothing has been more of a representative of that, or more of a showcase of that, than the past 2 years with the whole, I'll keep it vague because YouTube's on me right now, but y'all know what I'm talking about. So much flip-flopping, affecting people's livelihoods, affecting their businesses. When you have people making total assertions on things that they don't have the evidence, or they don't have all the data to. And so then going out and creating mandates, stuff like that. Now, it's one thing for, a business. They can do whatever they feel like. They don't have to have a reason. They can do whatever's best for them, a private business, things like that. But for your local, federal, or whatnot, and including federal, because Joe Biden tried to make federal mandates on jabs, despite them saying that they would never do, repeating over and over again that they would never do something like that because they didn't have the power to. And then he tried to, which it got shot down. But he tried. He tried. So flat out lied right there. But, for them to shut down a business because they want to make the decision for themselves, or shut down, whatever, whether it be a private school, anything, any private entity, institution. Now, for public, anything like that, hell, you got to abide by what they got going on, what the government has going on, or, risk not receiving funding. Go to those public schools, stuff like that. That's just that's the decision you make. That's the decision you make when you go into those type of schools or whatnot. They have you do all type of stuff anyway. They have you take, certain all type of inoculations already before the school year. So, that's just the decision you make. You're not being forced or held at gunpoint. You kind of get coerced because of the state of the economy. Might be a good discussion to have, considering it's still government. Government has its restrictions and its taxpayer dollars. What are the things that they're getting away with that they really shouldn't be doing when it comes to the public sector? I don't know. You know what I'm saying? That's a good discussion. But this video, man, is about Dr. Leana Wen. Now, if y'all not familiar with her, man, she's a contributor to CNN, ESPN, CNN. They all bullshit. But she's been speaking a lot during the whole pandemic and everything, and giving a lot of different insight on public guideline and stuff like that. Now, if people don't know, she was actually at the Boston explosion. Don't want to get flagged or anything like that. She was one of the responding emergency doctors. CNN was interviewing her then.
The doctors, the EMTs, how are they coping in the aftermath? And what if they were missing their own relatives while they were saving the lives of those injured? Joining me now is Dr. Leana Wen. She's an emergency room physician who was working at Massachusetts General Hospital the day of the terror attack. She also works at Brigham and Women's Hospital. So you were at Massachusetts General Monday. What happened?
Oh, it was a horrific day. We had no idea what was coming. It was 3 o'clock, and we heard that there were 2 explosions, but we didn't know where. We had no idea how many people were coming to us.
How many people came?
It seemed like dozens, and it was. It was probably nearly 3 dozen patients in 2 hours or so.
And was the hospital ready for it? I've heard from Dr. Walls from the other Brigham and Women's Hospital that because of all the drills the hospitals here have been running since 9/11, you were unbelievably prepared.
Technically and medically, we were ready. We had done drills. We knew what to do with each individual patient who came in. But I've never seen trauma like this before. The volume and the nature of the trauma was really chilling and really.
Which, I don't know if it's, that's been brought up in some conspiracies and stuff like that. Could be coincidence, or could be exactly what it looks like. Because, like I said, she later became an analyst. Now, she was with Planned Parenthood at some point over there in Baltimore. She was actually a public health director over in Baltimore. Then she was with Planned Parenthood, but she got ousted because she wanted to bring more of a health slant to Planned Parenthood and make it less political. And we all know that a lot of these organizations like Planned Parenthood aren't in the game for really helping people. It's all political to them. They have a political agenda. It's not about health to these people. But Leana Wen, probably about a couple weeks ago, put out an article in the Washington Post. She's also a contributor to the Washington Post with Jeff Bezos. Go figure, with his contract with the CIA and all of that. So you got to ask questions about these people. And like I said, a lot of this stuff is just, a lot of times, more often than not, it's not coincidence. But she's a contributor there, and she talked about, I believe it was August 23rd, how how masking has hurt her children. Says it's basically, and this was published. There was also an NIH article on this probably months ago, probably in January. But she talked about how it's held back, basically their speech, the way they identify certain things like speech and, facial expressions. Just interactions with other people is damaged that. Now, she's been receiving a lot of backlash because of, stuff she was saying earlier within the pandemic, is saying that people who are unjabbed shouldn't even be allowed to come outside. And she was all for mandates and, stuff like that. This is why the entire concept of just blindly trust the science was flawed to begin with, because anybody who understands science knows that it's always moving. Things are always changing within it, and there's no absolutes. And so when you make sweeping mandates like that, you're bound to get something wrong. You are bound to get something wrong. And this is the question that some of the people were bringing up. Now, as far as agendas and stuff like that, I have my skepticism. I have the things that I know, things that have been put out right in front of us. But we're not even going to add that to this. We're just going to talk about the practicality of everything that was done and how the public received all this information. And just, how basically demonized anybody who had an issue or pushed back against the narrative that was pushed in the media. None of this stuff was absolute. There was all type of issues with this stuff, from even when Fauci was talking about how from the beginning, when he was saying it's all just theater and masks really don't do nothing. And then he comes out and says, oh, well, I just said that so people wouldn't purchase all the masks and wouldn't buy up all the masks and all type of stuff. Basically calling you stupid, calling the public stupid like they always do. They got to step in. Big Brother's got to come in and they got to make the decision for you because you're too dumb to make that decision. Y'all have given these people too much power. Too much power. People like him talking about the jabs and talking about you'll be, you getting it, you become a dead end for the beer flu. Rochelle Zelensky saying it's, completely effective and it'll keep you from having anything and having any sickness, and then has to come out and basically blows that all up and has to admit that it does, that everything she said was a lie.
I'm so impressed with our ability to vaccinate at a clip of 3 million vaccinations a day. We have 93 million Americans who have gotten their first dose, 51 million who have gotten their second dose, and we can kind of almost see the end. We're vaccinating so very fast. Our data from the CDC today suggests, that vaccinated people do not carry the virus, don't get sick, and that it's not just in the clinical trials, but it's also in real-world data.
We've seen areas of the country that have more and more cases right now. Our cases are up, our hospitalizations are up, and for months we've been saying, if you are unvaccinated, if you have a lot of disease, please wear your mask, because we know the vast amount of transmission that's happening in this country is among those who are unvaccinated. But we did, over this last several days now, see new science that demonstrated for those who are vaccinated that they could, in fact, transmit if they are one of those rare breakthrough infections. So that's new. When we were looking at the Alpha variant at prior variants in this pandemic, we were not able to see that if you were vaccinated and you were a breakthrough case, that you could transmit to others. So we felt.
And these are the people who have been put in power. You ruin people's lives and abridge people's human rights with your incompetence. But this shouldn't fully be all on you, because terrible people are going to do terrible things. It should be on the responsibility is on the people who allowed this type of thing to happen. But it's too much infighting, too much name calling, labeling people as, this and that, conspiracy theorists or a right winger or liberals and stuff like that, and nobody's having a conversation with each other. We basically shut each other off, man. So we're not able. Our lives move so fast that we're not even able to keep up with a lot of these inconsistencies that are spoken about consistently, man, especially last 2 years. I can't even keep up with all of this stuff, man, because I have to have a life. I got to go make money. I got to go work. Go sustain my future the best way possible. So can't keep up with everything. It's a lot. So just imagine the person who's not even on that type of time, not even in the know on certain things. And the only way they get their information is through watching, these little mainstream media shows, their news and all of that, who all about pushing propaganda. And they take that as the Bible, as scripture. They don't have time. Still no excuse. You still got to be able to do the digging. You shouldn't take nobody at their, just absolute word. You got to be able to dig down to the source of certain things. But science, it was all flawed. The whole narrative that was being pushed and, like I said, demonizing people who questioned anything, it was all flawed and it was evil. Some of the most evil crap ever. We're not going to forget what's happened this last 2 years. This has to be marked down. This has to be documented all the way. Because people have to understand what's happened, what's been done. They have to understand the nuance and what it entails for the future. Understand who you're dealing with. Some of the craziest stuff ever, man. But yeah, and as for Leana Wen, I've been seeing she's been facing a lot of backlash. She didn't just come to this conclusion. Like I said, the NIH published an article on this back in January about, what can happen with children who wear masks all the time. But, you know, stuff like that gets ignored, just like the IVER MECTIN story, which the NIH did a story on itself about curing the beer flu, right? But they said it was just horse dewormer in the media. And I'm not advocating anybody take something like that. I'm just saying the certain stories, the certain studies that were put out there, and people just basically tried to cast it off as BS or right-wing conspiracy and lunacy, right? But now they're trying to turn on her, Leana Wen, for what she's saying now, calling her a eugenicist. Even though y'all prop up eugenicists like Henry Kissinger, Bill Gates, those guys, and eugenicists. When are we going to wake up? Let me know what you think in the comments section. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe, and I'll holler at y'all later.